All right. So what you thinking about lately?
I've been thinking about a lot. Well, first I want to ask,
Hmm.
um, have you heard anything about our
Our
paper?
paper? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I got maybe you were copied on it. I
hmm
I got a kind of an apology from them that there had been
Yeah,
a reviewer
I
that
was
did, yeah,
copied
you
on
got
that.
that.
Yeah.
And I replied and said, understand, thanks. And then I've logged in a week or two ago, and I
hmm
see that of the three reviewers, two have now submitted their reviews,
Okay.
but they're still waiting on one more. So
Okay. Weird.
I think that's the story. So
Okay.
I don't know, fingers crossed
Yeah, that
yeah,
it works out.
that it
I
works
don't
out.
know. Maybe now that we like brought it up and talked about it, that it'll be
Now I don't, there'll be
soon.
an email from them. Yeah, I mean, I don't completely understand, especially because one of the reviewers, it looked like in the little, in fact, I guess I could log in right now. Um, one of the reviewers, submitted their review within like 3 days or something,
Oh
it
wow.
was just like they got the request and they read it and submitted their review and it was done. So I thought it might be really quick, but um, then they had to find a new person and give them time. So yeah, I don't completely understand the process. I mean, I guess in some sense it's encouraging in the sense that I'm sure the editor has read it, and
hmm
if they really didn't think it was appropriate for the journal, it seems like they would have saved everybody a lot of
Yeah.
trouble. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if it's just a delay or if it's something that somebody doesn't like that they are trying to discuss. Or yeah, I don't have a good sense. Like I said, my my gut instinct about it is that it seems like it's a relevant, interesting topic, and that the most likely
hmm
thing is that they'll want us to expand on it,
Yeah.
which would be perfectly reasonable and fun. And that's part of the goal of the process is to get somebody to tell us, well, what else could we do with this and expand
Right.
on it a little bit. But so yeah, sorry that's taken longer than. I mean, I guess it's
Don't,
been
yeah.
what? It's been 2 months basically,
hmm
which for AJP, because AJP is normally pretty quick, I think, for I've heard stories of people, it taking a year or something before they, not for AJP, but for
Yeah,
other
but in
journals. So
general.
so I guess we should just be happy that it was still in the process. But yeah,
hmm
hopefully we'll hear something soon though. I can't imagine. I mean, I think they give reviewers something like a month. So we must be coming near the deadline for the new round of reviewers that they had to ask, and one of them has already submitted it. So
Cool.
I'm hoping they'll get feedback soon, or at the very least, if they don't hear from this third person, at least they'll think, well, we've already got two, so that's probably good enough or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Still in the
Cool.
process. Welcome
I
to this.
like
That's right. This is your first indoctrination into the
hmm
to this process. So
I like
yeah,
it. It's
fingers
fun.
crossed.
I can't stop shivering.
Yeah, I understand. You need
Crazy.
like a wool blanket to wrap around you or something.
Yeah, I put a robe on, but I don't know.
It's
We'll
like
see.
it's like sauna sort of thing that's supposed to be good for you. Like the
hmm
Nordic kind of, sit in the steam sauna for a little while and then jump in a cold pond or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like cold showers feel really nice. Like, I don't know, it's like fresh and
Hmm.
refreshing, but
Yeah.
not, I mean, especially because I walked home from the cafe and it's like really cold outside. So like I was already cold before I jumped in the shower.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, it's the yeah.
But it's
It's funny. It's
nice.
amazing how the time difference works, where I have to keep reminding myself that it's almost noon there.
Yeah. Right, because it's what, like
Yeah, eight
8:30,
42 here.
8:42.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right, I feel like the whole time, there's time zone standard time zone daylight time,
I
and there's so I feel like it. So did you notice I started just calling it Pacific time and Eastern time because then I figured
Yeah,
that doesn't. But we ought to just all use
confusing.
sidereal time, use the
Yeah.
stars, or coordinated universal time, so that everybody knows what. But where is the sun? That would be the other option. We could.
Hmm.
What angle is the sun relative to the horizon from your location when we meet?
I like that one. We can have like we can do.
Oh yeah, a
I mean,
little
I guess
measure.
everyone's hands are different,
Yeah,
but
although everyone's arms are also different lengths, so it is
yeah.
apparently it's fairly consistent that this width at arm's length is about 10 degrees.
Okay.
Because, right, because if you have bigger hands on average, you tend to have
That's true.
longer arms. Not obviously there's some variation in that,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Wow. Yeah, and the farther away a larger hand is equal to
some tens a smaller angle, right?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I imagine that's plus or minus, a couple of degrees or something. But if you're just
right.
trying to navigate in the sky, it works pretty well.
Yeah. Uh,
Has there been any
I,
more um, communication about the program in Tübingen? Like, are they pretty much just wait for the orientation week or whatever? I don't know. I'm just curious if there's any like,
yeah,
is there
no.
sort of ongoing dialogue about things?
Yeah, I've officially been accepted to the 2026-2027 school year.
Yep.
I got an email from Marius, not Carla, but
Huh?
Marius is like more in charge of the like
Administrative kind of.
yeah,
Okay.
administrative stuff. Um, and it's the same email I got when I was first accepted for last year of
Okay.
just like, this is when orientation is, even though the dates are wrong. I
Oh,
think he
okay.
just kind of copied and pasted what um
Oh, the old dates.
he did. Yeah, so it's like probably like 2 days off.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I got like the dates for when that the orientation starts, when the actual school year starts, um, a note about housing and how hard it is to get housing
Right. So you,
in Tübingen. So I need to start as early as possible. But I know that the student housing doesn't open until April 1st.
okay.
So on March 31st,
Yep.
since, Germany is 5 hours ahead right now, I'm
Right.
gonna at like 11:59, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like
yeah. You okay
ready
with that?
to submit.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Um, and then I have also been like emailing people on the apartment website thing, like because they're not looking for people who start staying there in September. I Talking is hard this morning.
That's okay.
They're not looking for roommates yet. They're
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
roommates like right now.
Right.
So I've
Right.
just kind
People
of
don't
been
think
like,
that far ahead.
yeah, I've just
Just
kind
to
of
get
been
a
like
sense.
emailing them.
Yeah, just to get a
Yeah,
sense of what's the possibilities and things like
yeah,
that.
like what the possibility or like if they have any like advice or if they happen to also be looking for someone at that point.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
because somebody might be planning ahead.
mhm. Yeah, so
Okay.
just kind of putting my feelers out there in that respect. There's also this WhatsApp group chat for incoming Tübingen students.
Okay.
I'm probably like the first one.
Okay.
Because the application opened like March 1st, and then I like submitted it like a few days after that.
Right.
And the deadline for international students is like July 15th.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for,
So
for this coming year, right? So I mean
yeah,
this year. So a lot of
yeah.
people, yeah.
So I mean, I could be the student that makes the group chat if
You
I'm
could.
like the first one.
That's right. And
Um,
remind me, so when is the orientation? The correct dates for the
it's the last week of September and the first week of October,
got it, got
and
it,
then
got
the actual school year is the second week of
it.
October.
October. Okay, so that's actually really similar to what I remember from at Cambridge. It was I think the fall quarter essentially started like not the very beginning of October, but
Hmm.
around then. Yeah, okay, cool.
That's cool.
Cool. That's
It's
exciting.
really
It's gonna be
exciting.
really fun.
Yeah. No, I'm getting really excited because like I'm actually like starting to like upload documents and stuff for my visa application and
Yep.
um there's like this expatrio thing, like student package, and it's for specifically like students studying abroad in Germany.
Hmm.
And they like provide you with like a blocked account, and like insurance and just kind
Mhm.
of like a little package to help
Packages all the things you
students.
need, kind of.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
for the visa. So my mom and I are looking through that. I mean, my mom is mostly looking through the insurance stuff because she works in insurance and so she knows what's going on
Okay.
with that
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's going.
All right.
Carla emailed, and she said that, like one of the required classes for the master's program is like that student seminar class,
Yep.
where, people like give presentations on like their research, and then like the students give presentations on their like master's thesis,
Yeah.
theses, and she said like there are themes to them,
Okay.
and she was saying that my first year is gonna be there's gonna be a few really interesting themes. So she
Okay.
said to poke her around June, because that's kind of when the registration starts for the seminar.
Okay.
So I'd probably be like the only first year because um, I'm going out of my way to poke her about telling
Yeah.
me
Yeah. Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it so
Okay.
I can
Cool.
register for it. But
Okay.
um, she said that it's going to be really interesting and that
Okay.
I'd probably be really interested in it. So
Okay. So she hasn't told you what they are yet. She just told you it's going
no,
to be
she,
interesting. It's like she's a good like draw you in because it's going to
yeah,
pique your
yeah,
intrigue, interest. Okay.
yeah.
That's going to be really
So
great.
that's really, yeah, no, like what I want to read to you what she said exactly because she kind of described the um
The
like
format.
what the format is a bit better too. Um, let's see. Um, the only thing you might want to do besides what you already are doing is check out possible student seminars for winter semester during the summer semester. Student seminars are courses where students read about a certain topic and give talks to each other about them. So actually, yeah, I think this is a different one,
Yeah.
like from the thing that I was just describing. So students read about a certain topic and then give talks to each other
Yes.
about
Right.
what they
Right.
read.
Right.
That like already like that's something I want to do now,
Yes.
but can't
Yeah.
find people
No,
to
that's
do it
great
with.
because I mean that I always find that really helpful. It was sort of like we used to call it journal club, right? It was like you'd read,
Hmm.
everybody would read an art, you'd sort of agree on what articles you wanted to read in some
Hmm.
area that you're interested in, and then people would take turns giving presentations on the paper that they read.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will have to take at least one student seminar on the MSc program, and if plans don't change, there might be some interesting ones offered right in your first semester. Student seminars are typically announced toward the end of the previous semester, and students are supposed to sign up before the previous semester ends. If you nudge me around mid-June, I can forward you the information about where and when to find out more about the seminars offered in the coming winter semester.
Yeah, perfect.
So I'm like,
That's good. That's going to be a really good environment, I think.
yeah,
Great.
yeah, no, I'm really excited to be back in an environment like that.
Remind me if you know, so I don't know if I actually mean remind me or just tell me um,
Hmm.
the cohort size, like the
Oh,
incoming class. What's typical? I'm sure it
yeah.
varies, but what's sort of typical? Are we talking like 10 students, 20 students, five
I
students?
think Marius actually told me that like near the beginning. when I was like first emailing with him.
I think I have in my head kind of 10 or 15 or something like that, but I don't know if that's
Yeah,
justified or if that's just
I
something I
think
made up
I think it changes per year. I think it was a little bit bigger
last
than
year.
that. Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. Class sizes in the master program. So like classroom sizes, not necessarily like cohort.
Yeah, okay.
Um, it ranged roughly from 2 to 30 students, most are around 10.
Okay. Okay. 2 to 30.
So yeah. The format is usually 2 times per week, a 90-minute lecture, then a weekly problem sets and final exam.
Hmm.
Written for larger classes, otherwise oral.
Hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, this is
Typical classes of 10. I feel, I don't know,
hmm
somehow for those, just like we experienced with our Pacific upper division physics classes, I feel like 10 is about the right, 10
I
plus or minus
agree.
a couple is about the right size because it's enough to be kind of a critical mass for discussion where you don't
Hmm
feel on the spot, or if you're tired one day, you don't,
hmm
there's a real group. You don't feel like every individual has to help carry the weight of the conversation, but it's also
Yeah.
small enough that everybody's truly individual and you can really
hmm
talk about things. And you can do stuff like oral exams where, it's a small enough number that you can have everybody present something or whatever and not have it take the whole week.
Yeah, and it's like more personalized. Huh. For
Yeah, it's more personalized. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just grabbing a vest.
which I
Yeah.
quite agree. Or quite I quite like that a lot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So like it's happening.
It's
And
happening.
I'm trying to prepare for it. We'll see if it's enough. But um since I also have like some lecture notes, um, like in the prospective students email, they sent like some lecture notes and like be like, and just to be like, so these are what the classes are going to be like. You don't need to know the things happening in the lecture notes, but like you should be confident that you will be able to um, learn
Right, right,
learn this
right, right,
stuff.
right.
Um, so I have like those so that I can kind of get a good idea of like what I should like, because I think my calendar ends like a few months before October, so I'll have like a few months to um like kind of go through those lecture notes and be like, okay, these are some like things that I need to
Brush up
focus
on.
more on and brush up on and stuff. And maybe even start like practicing um learning the material and like actually like try and like learn the first part of the lecture notes to practice doing that before the program. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that might be helpful.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be really good. I mean, of course, there'll be challenges as there
hmm
should be to make
It's
it.
gonna
That's part of
be
what makes it good, right? Is there'll be challenges.
yeah.
There'll be good challenges, I think. So,
And like I don't know. It's just I feel like it's like the only place that's felt like I mean when I was like looking for graduate schools and stuff,
mhm.
it really feels like the only place that's roughly equivalent to Pacific.
Specific, but bigger, and
Yeah.
with some more expansive research. Yeah, I know. I think
hmm
that's going to be. I mean, yeah, I'll be really interested in seeing. This could become a pipeline for, how just kind of like we have Hawaiian students at Pacific.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be a relationship that will set up where we were talking. I had a meeting yesterday where we were talking with the department and the administration about kind of future plans for the physics and engineering department and where we
Hmm.
see ourselves and our vision and stuff. And one of the things we talked about is the the pros and the cons of the small numbers, right? Of like
Hmm.
because we're small, we can do things like this, right? And have sort of
Hmm.
individual attention and individual conversations, which is great. And because we're small on the flip side of it, um, it's hard to have kind of um, we have one student every once in a while who's interested in semiconductor physics and one who's
Hmm.
interested in astrophysics and one who's so it's hard to have really consistent threads of like prep
Research
lines
and
for things, right?
hmm.
And so that part of the solution to that is having support systems where it's that are kind of in place where it's like, okay, we know if we have a student who fits this category, then this is a possible track for them
Hmm.
to go
Hmm.
next and so on. So just building these relationships, kind of like Tate did the program at University of Oregon, the
Right.
master program, the industrial master's program,
Hmm.
optics, or well, he did the optics track. Having these relationships set up so that even though it may only be once every couple of years that we have a student in a particular track, we have like a range of tracks that cover almost everything that anyone might want to do if we could build that
Hmm.
up. So anyway, this could be
Yeah, and
fun.
it's cool too that Chris also has a connection at Tübingen. So it's just like
Exactly.
there is already like a little
Yeah.
connection between Pacific and Tübingen. And
Yeah. In fact, that reminds me, do you know, has she ever had any students from math that have gone to Tübingen for graduate work? Did she
I don't
mention anything about
I
that?
don't
Yeah.
think so. Like I
I
know
mean, you're
that
also a student from math, I guess, because you're both doing
yeah, yeah.
someone that I wouldn't know.
Yeah. No, I don't know if anyone from Pacific has gone to Tübingen. Like I know that like Eva, one of Chris's other research mates had sent a student to Tübingen at from Lewis and Clark.
Yeah,
Um, so like there is kind of like this little connection thing happening between this area and that area, but um, I don't know. It could be more fleshed out.
yeah, yeah.
I,
Well,
I I think
you're
that
you're a
that
trailblazer.
definitely would be.
You're pioneering
Yeah,
the.
I have the machete,
That's right. That's
even though
right.
there is kind of already
There's
like
a there's a
a
there's
little
like a
path.
deer trail,
Yeah, there's a
sort
deer
of there.
trail,
It's
and
not
I'm just kind
you're
of.
turning it into a someday it'll be a highway maybe. Well, I don't think we want it to be
Hmm.
a highway. A nice
Yeah,
a
maybe
nice
not.
well-maintained hiking trail. We'll go from
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well maintained hiking trail. I like that. I like that. But I mean, besides like Tübingen and like thinking about Tübingen in Germany and visas and all that kind of stuff, I have instead of like actually like reading, what other people had been saying about like the medium through which gravitational waves propagate,
hmm
like we were talking about last
hmm
time, I kind of did just write or just kind of ponder like what that could be
Yeah,
on
good.
my own. Um, other things. It was a while since I wrote about
Yeah,
this.
no, that's okay. And are you still
Um,
doing the morning
the
journal?
morning, yep, the morning pages, yep,
Okay, that's good.
yeah. Like sometimes well, most of the times I write about like, my queries about the universe, but sometimes um other things are very much in my brain. Like, I mean, for example, like right now, like bus is kind of driving me crazy, and I'm exploring the possibility of not working there anymore.
Okay.
So that's what I wrote about this morning.
Okay.
But uh, most for the most part, I at least want to write about my queries about the universe at least a little bit in the three
Mhm.
pages. Um, so where did I? I think it's here. Yeah, so I think one thing that anchored my thought process for um understanding like what the medium of space-time like really is how gravitational waves like are stretching and compressing it. Like the ripple of
Hmm.
gravitational waves is just the stretching and compressing of space-time. And so like what was I even saying? Mhm. So yeah, I was kind of thinking about like how like pondering like it's kind of like the stretching and compressing is like a simple harmonic oscillator.
Right.
And so like I'm just kind of imagining like this field of simple harmonic oscillators.
Hmm.
Um and just but also like we know that gravitational waves are like stretching and compressing space-time. We also know that the like expansion of the universe is kind of like this weird like generation of space-time kind of thing.
Hmm.
So kind of like using those as anchors, I've just been
Yeah, that's cool.
thinking like, okay, well, we need and in the context of my pizza dough, um, my rotating pizza dough
Uh-huh.
idea,
Yes.
um, I've just been, gosh, like I feel like I said something really cool and I wanted to talk about it and I was going to text you about it, but I forgot to. I want to find it. Mm,
Looking up something about gravitational waves.
mhm. Yeah, like one cool thing that I was thinking about was um so like maybe this it's like a field of like particles because we've talked about before how like the oh gosh, what is it called? The spectropic um like how particles would like consume waves at frequencies to be able to like would only consume the frequencies of the like natural frequency of the particle, which would then like produce like kind of the standing wave um um like that standing wave like oscillation, like it would
Yep.
oscillate at like the natural frequency. Um so then that would because the particle would consume that frequency and then you look um through like a like at a gas, you would be able to identify like what, you know, gas it is, like hydrogen or like nitrogen,
Right,
because
right.
the atoms are
Just the
consuming the
atoms
natural
finally, right.
frequency of
Yep.
so like I was thinking about that and like how maybe like
You
this
you
it's like
did
a
a
field
presentation
of
about that in waves,
yep
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was thinking about how like maybe it's like this field of these like, you know, simple harmonic oscillator like particles where like, you know, a ripple like like a mass would influence these particles
Hmm.
to um like initiate the um oscillation. process, and that's kind of what is stretching and compressing. But like it, like not necessarily like I was thinking, since we can actually detect these oscillations, like with the like LIGO detectors and such, like
Right.
it wouldn't be just the particle doing it. It would be kind of like maybe like a harmony of particles that are like amplifying this, like, like stacking themselves together to build like the ripple. Like, how in cartoons, when I don't know, like these like little robots like build up to like this one big robot, like use
Yeah,
themselves
yeah.
as kind of like that,
Yeah, like
like the particles would.
like little self-similar, almost like automata, like cellular automata sort of
Yeah,
thing. They build up something. Okay.
yeah, that like build up to create the ripple, or just like some kind of like simple harmonic like behavior that whatever this medium like is. And I mean, I feel weird saying medium because, like, light travels through the vacuum of space-time. Like
Right.
there, like, and originally, like, we did kind of go through this research of like, oh, like maybe there's like this ether, and we kind of like already explored that. But I mean, still the vacuum of space-time is a medium. Like it's not like the lack of a medium
Right.
question
There's a
mark.
little bit of a trickiness about, I guess that depends on how you define medium, right?
Yeah,
It's,
because I mean the lack of a medium could still be a medium.
yeah. If by medium you mean something that has its own, let's see if we can say this really carefully.
Hmm.
If by medium you mean something that defines a rest frame so that you can measure whether you are moving relative to that medium or not,
Hmm.
then it's not a medium in that sense,
Hmm.
right? In a way, that's the fundamental insight is that everyone sees, it's almost like, oh yeah, this is really tricky. It's interesting, right?
Hmm.
Right. So, so like, just to back up to our kind of everyday experience, when you say water is a medium that waves travel in, or a
Hmm.
spring is a medium
Hmm.
that waves travel in,
Hmm.
the you can define motion relative to that medium,
Hmm.
and you can tell whether you're moving relative to that medium. And the
Hmm.
whole consequence of the Michelson-Morley experiment and related things is that in the case of space-time, that's not the case, right? That
Hmm.
any one space-time reference frame is as good as anyone else's if you're an inertial
Hmm.
reference frame, right?
Hmm.
But you're right that it's still, once you've defined that reference frame for you, that really
Hmm.
is still the
Yeah.
medium in which the light travels for you. It's a medium that behaves differently than what we're kind of used to
Hmm.
thinking about.
Because it
Um,
like curves and
yeah, it
such.
curves and it it's
Expand.
more ethereal, I guess, in the sense that it only curves and expands, and which again makes it sound even more like a medium in a way, right? We
Hmm.
talk about
Hmm.
the fabric of space-time being stretched and so
Hmm.
on,
Hmm.
which is both a useful and a misleading
Hmm.
um, model, I think. I struggle with, you know, keeping my mind free enough of, like the usefulness of a mental image versus what it
Hmm.
locks you into that's a misconception,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so, in the case of space-time, the problem with thinking of it as a fabric is that as
Hmm.
soon as I picture that, I can talk about moving relative to the fabric. And what it really needs
Right.
to be, the way I would conceptualize it, is it needs to be a kind of a fabric that, you know, you have your description of the fabric, and then somebody moving relative to you has their just as valid description of the fabric, and those
Hmm.
fabrics move relative to each other. So they're
Hmm.
not,
Hmm.
there's something more subtle about it, right? That makes sense
Hmm.
than a kind of a material thing that has a definite rest frame. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, all of that was sort of an aside, but so I think it's still okay to talk about it as a medium as long as you know that it, there's something I can't quite put to words. I've been thinking about this a lot with all of these kinds of, I mean, I guess in some sense it boils down to we we find these laws of physics and we kind of have this vague sense of a sort of a material structure that sort of embodies the laws. And we kind of have to keep reminding ourselves that there isn't really a clear picture of how the laws get implemented, I guess, right? And
Hmm.
that becomes more and more clear from relativity because there's not a fixed, it really is different than, maybe that's a good way to do it, is to contrast it with the Newtonian kind of picture, right? Where there's almost like a space-time scaffold framework that sits out there and that everything we do is relative to that picture is really not viable, right? That there's not a framework where the laws live
Fixed.
that's independent of us, and then we come in
Yeah.
and that it's somehow related to our own observational point of view that the laws get imposed, and they get imposed in exactly the same way from some other observational point of view. So
Mhm.
it's almost like it's imposed on the point of view rather than imposed on some static
Yeah.
framework that sits out there. I don't know, does that
I
I'm
think
being
so.
able to
Is it?
try to
My brain keeps going back to this bootstrapping effect thing. I talk about it a lot in these morning pages,
cool.
but like, it's like the things that happen in the universe and like space-time itself are feeding into each other kind of thing, or like observers are feeding into like our environment and the environment is feeding into the like observers, and like they are,
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
like
Yes,
affecting each other.
right, right. That's
Um,
good. I like that image. Yeah, sort of bootstrapping or symbiosis, or I mean, I keep,
yeah.
we've talked before about that, this sort of you can't have an observer without an observation, and you can't have an observation
Hmm.
without an observer, and how do they
The yin
sort
and
of
yang
come into
kind of thing.
being together? It's sort of like the yin and yang. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, I like the bootstrapping idea.
Hmm.
The self-reference, all of those things are sort of in that same vein where
Yeah.
how do we so then, and I keep coming back to, I mean, back to the gravitational waves
Hmm.
that are traveling in this quote medium. The speed with you remember from electromagnetism, right?
Hmm.
The the force laws for how charges react to being pushed around.
Hmm.
Fundamentally, that's what sets the speed of light. That's why it's sort of,
Hmm.
it's a wave equation that emerges out of the electromagnetic, out of Maxwell's equations, right? You make a
Hmm.
wave equation out of Maxwell's equations.
Hmm.
So the equivalent thing for gravity has to also give that same speed, the speed of light, even
Hmm.
though, of course, the gravitational version doesn't talk about charge and it's not Maxwell's equations and it's not. So there's an interesting deep
Yeah.
connection there to, again, what defines the springiness of space is the sort of qualitative version
Yeah.
of the question,
And
right?
I think like I talked about that a little bit in, but only like with in the sense of like, okay, if masses like if these like masses, moving masses are the things that generate these waves, just like how moving charges generate the electromagnetic waves. And that just sends off this cascading of stretching and compressing this quote unquote medium. But like the act of stretching and compressing like takes energy. Like I mean when you
Mm,
think of like a spring, right? There's energy that goes into
mm,
like not only stretching it, but like the like potential energy like of or like of the material, like the material itself kind of like takes energy like out of the
right,
system.
right, right, or
It like
stores some
the
energy.
yeah, or like
In-
stores some energy. So it's like these gravitational waves are not only traveling at the speed of light, but also are like seem to be traveling like infinitely far. Like
yes, yes, they have an
how
infinite range.
where's the energy like coming from to do that? That's why I was thinking about like that bootstrapping effect that light has between the E field and the B field. Like maybe there's just some kind of constant like back and forth like feeding of each other with the stretching and compressing. Like the stretching somehow bootstraps the compressing, which bootstraps the stretching again. Or like,
Right.
but also like, you know, gravitational waves would also be traveling at geodesics, right? Because light
Right,
travels
right.
in geodesics.
Yep.
And I mean, the gravitational waves themselves don't have mass, just the mass that causes this stretches and compressing.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't take energy to stretch and compress material. We need a material that allows gravitational waves to travel like light in geodesics, but gets influenced but gets influenced by gravitational waves and not light, or maybe just influences light in ways that we don't understand. Because I mean,
Hmm.
like light still, like light also travels through this quote unquote medium,
Hmm.
but it doesn't like the way that gravitational waves travel through the medium is stretching and compressing this
Hmm.
medium,
Good, good,
but
good.
light
Light is
doesn't.
not doing that. Right. So that's a no, that's great, Logan. That's a really good way to think about the distinction, I think, is that right. So if you have this sort of quote medium, let's say imagine yeah, I mean imagine, back to our kind of usual practice of um the space penguin and
Mm-hmm.
building our own universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
From scratch. If you built a static universe, our toy models, if you built a
Mm-hmm.
static universe that obeyed special relativity,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow did not incorporate into your video game universe general relativity, right? So
Mm-hmm.
your space-time was not influenced by mass and energy, right? That there's a
Mm-hmm.
backdrop space-time. It obeys the Lorentz transformations, so it obeys special relativity. So it's not absolute. It's carried with the observer, but it's also not bendable, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would still get electromagnetic waves
Mm-hmm.
in that toy model universe. But as you say, you would not in such a toy model get gravitational waves because the gravitational waves need to actually distort the background space-time, and that's
Right.
what they travel in. I think that's a good way to clarify the distinction. I like that a lot. Whereas the electromagnetic waves, then in the general relativity case, the electromagnetic waves are in some way they're traveling according to the local rules of special relativity, but then in a space-time that's, that the space-time is just the background for them to travel. They're not actually
Hmm.
traveling in the distortions, they just follow the
Right.
distortions. Although, yeah, yeah, I mean, now I'm realizing how deep this goes because electromagnetic waves, of course, also have energy, as you said, and they
Mm-hmm.
also produce curvature.
Hmm.
And then, of course, electromagnetic waves are a linear wave equation, like fundamentally linear, whereas gravitational waves are not. They are nonlinear
Hmm.
because of the
They're
feedback. So you can
hyperbolic.
linearize them if the distortions are small enough, like we did in waves, and that was the waves class, right? Yeah, and waves and optics, like we did, you can always,
Hmm.
if the distortion is small enough, you can always um, treat it as if it's a linear equation, right? I mean,
Hmm.
that's well, that's why everything's
The
simple harmonic
approximation.
oscillators, right?
Hmm.
Back to your
Hmm.
opening point. Everything's a simple harmonic oscillator if the distortion is small enough because you can always Taylor expand it, and
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
first order term is always proportional to the force is always the restoring force is always proportional to the displacement, to first order and displacement, if you make it
Hmm.
small enough.
Hmm. Hmm.
But in the case of gravity, so you'll probably come across people talking about linearized gravity, or the Newtonian limit or whatever, right? And that's like if the perturbations are small enough that you can treat
Hmm.
the gravitational equations as if they're linear to kind of first
Hmm.
approximation. But fundamentally, general
Hmm.
relativity is not linear, and that's what makes it so hard to
Yeah.
find solutions. Is that
Hmm.
you can't use you know Taylor
Taylor.
expand Fourier analysis kinds of things, right? You
Hmm.
can't just add solutions that work. Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. That's a good insight. I like that. So now it might actually be worth reading a little bit
Yeah.
about I'll try to do a little bit too if I can of
Yeah.
why.
My most recent
Yeah, go
um
ahead.
journal thing was like, okay, I think you can start reading
Yeah,
now.
no, but I think you're doing it perfectly. I mean, that's why we tried to lay it out this way, right? It's like that
Hmm.
article about stopping to think and
Hmm.
don't read the literature quote, because I think it really does change the whole dynamic of how you engage with a topic. If
Hmm.
you've tried to figure out how you would understand it, then you know what to look for when you're reading, as opposed
Hmm.
to just
Hmm.
like what you wrote on the board, not you're not just regurgitating what other people have said.
Hmm.
You have your own way through the path of your thoughts that you're
Hmm.
then looking to fill in pieces. And
Hmm.
you'll recognize when you find the things you're looking for because you've already
Yeah.
explored the path, kind of. So, yeah, that's cool. So, yeah, that's probably a good next step is just see what you can connect to what's already out there
Out there.
about what determines the speed of gravitational waves. It would probably be a good search
Hmm. Hmm.
for the speed of gravity. I just did that, and so now I'm reading something that.
You share your screen.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Um, let's see. Uh,
Oh, and I think we have 3 minutes
we have
until.
3 minutes, so yeah. So I'll quickly share. That's okay. Yeah. Can you see this now? So
Yeah.
actually, I know Ethan. He has thoughtful things.
No.
Um, So, why do gravitational waves travel at exactly the
Mm,
speed of light? Yeah, I can say I'll send you in fact, let me just put it in the chat.
okay.
I can find the chat. Um, so at least this is, I don't, yeah, at least this is along the lines of what I was thinking, right? Because he's
Mhm,
saying, okay, here's what I was saying about, right? Maxwell's equations are what determine the speed of light.
mhm,
And then what's the equivalent thing? So I think he's describing that. And then now what's the equivalent thing for gravity, right? Why do these gravitational waves have to travel at the speed of light? Why does the speed of gravity, which you might imagine could take on any value at all, have exactly the speed of light, where the speed of light is related to electromagnetic constants, not to
mhm,
space-time constants, at least on
mhm,
the surface. But that's the deep joy of physics, right? Is
mhm.
seeing that things are connected that might not have been, right? I mean, like in some sense, the ultimate goal in my mind now is trying to have everything be connected to um, what's necessary to give a self-consistent description, right? If you're gonna, back
Mhm.
to your bootstrapping, if you're gonna have a
Yeah,
universe that has observers and something that is observed, and you want to make it all fit self-consistently, maybe you basically derive the speed of light and the speed of gravity as both being the same from that. Anyway, that looks
mhm.
like this might be worth a read to at least see what questions it sparks.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're going to have all this conceptual framework, and then you're going to be going into a really specialized program where you're going to have like
Hmm.
the mathematical apparatus to support it, but it won't be
Yeah.
orphaned in the sense of, it's easy to go into having all the mathematical apparatus and then um, not know what you're talking about, I guess, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then, of course,
Yeah.
it's also easy to end up in a situation where you learn the conceptual things, but you don't have the details to sort of flush it out and back it up and
Hmm.
filter. So you're
Hmm.
going to have like this nice,
Nice
I
balance.
hope, a kind of roadmap for your details, which I think will be really good. I like the way you're approaching this.
Thank you.
And
Yeah. Oh, no, you continue.
no, you go, you go.
I was just gonna say, like, I've been thinking a lot about the best way to balance that, I guess. Just I really want to be I really want to immerse all of my senses in reality and be able to like I don't know, kind of in a way be like one with reality.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I see you. Yeah.
Like I don't know, this Sparks of Genius book that I've been reading, like it's really hard to explain, but it's just like one of the phrases that comes to mind is observing rather than seeing,
Mm,
where like seeing everybody, like that's what everybody just kind of does when they're walking around their
right.
day-to-day things, but like observing is like
To really take it
trying,
in.
yeah, really take it in, using all of your senses, asking questions like about like, what is it like smell like or feel like, or how like does it work on a more like sensory level, and like exploring like all of your senses and
Mhm.
planting all of your senses into the object so that you can viscerally
Hmm.
feel
Hmm.
what, like you viscerally feel and understand the blurry picture of what it is
Yes.
because language makes it not blurry, but we don't want that because that's not the pure essence of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
really good.
you're like using your senses to get that blurry picture of what the object or like phenomenon that you're
Yes. Wow, that's very
analyzing
good.
is.
There's something Seth Meath is here, so I'm going to let her in just a
Oh,
second.
perfect.
But I feel like let's continue this next time next time you and I talk. Let's continue this because I have something to add to that about Goethe. You know the German
Mm-hmm.
poet Goethe
Mm-hmm.
talks about dwelling within the phenomenon to sort of like let your
Mm.
anyway. So let's pick. I'm glad we've
Oh,
recorded this
cool.
because we can
Okay.
pick up
Yeah.
that thread, and I want to hear more about what you're reading about it, and I'll share some of the things that I'm thinking about it. So. All
Okay,
right, so I'll
cool.
let Sesame end. So I'll stop recording so that it will
Yes.
stop recording.